Hey guys, turn the light down a little bit. It's a little harsh. Okay, y'all. Apparently, I'm gonna be debating today. Somebody's gonna educate me tonight, and he been on my ass. Like he's very prompt, and he said he's gonna tell me what's what. He's gonna put me in my place. So I'm very excited for our conversation. I feel like it's gonna be very enlightening. Hey everybody that's joining. Y'all are in store for a treat. Oh, I need to grab my dictionary so I can look up the definition of racism. Hold on. Just in case I gotta look up the definition of racism on somebody. Handy dandy Webster. Hey. Hey, Sade. Let me flip to R. Ara. Just so I can have it pulled up. I'm waiting for this guy. Are they finna debate this time? The guy who challenged me to a debate, he seems very pro-African. He personally DM'd me and said, anytime you want to debate, let me know. I'm here to educate. So prepare to be educated. That's what he said. So I'm waiting for him to make an appearance because he DM'd me like an hour ago. And he was like, I don't see you live. I'm like, I said 8. I'm in a different time zone, honey. Calm down. I'll be live. Is it Sade? Is that right? That's my sister's middle name. So that's probably sound familiar to me. Okay, I got the definition of racism pulled up. Mad people can't say it right. Y'all, yeah. I only know how to say it because of my sister. Where's this man at? He's not here yet. Is there anybody else? Okay, let me go ahead and pin the question of the day. What can black people be racist? Because that's a question I honestly still haven't gotten a complete answer to. Yeah, somebody else sending me a request to be in it. Wait, hold on a second. Who are you? Are you the guy from who's supposed to be coming live? Oh no, here we go. Okay, this is the guy that's gonna educate me. Here we go. Let me go ahead and go live with him. And I just accepted his request, so he should be popping up any second. All right, y'all. I'm finna get educated tonight. I'm finna get educated. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, King? How you doing tonight?
I've been, excuse me. I've been great.
You've been great. That's excellent to hear. Did you have a good holiday? Do you celebrate Christmas? I don't know.
What? 1 minute. I'm working on my
Okay, no
audio.
problem.
1 second. Gotta get my audio. Gotta get my audio.
Okay.
Gotta get my audio.
No problem.
A few technical difficulties.
No problem. Okay, I'm gonna also be adding Mr. Dave Loves Life. He wanted to join also. We're all gonna be having a group discussion. How you doing, Mr. Dave?
What's up, Sarah? How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
All right, so we're gonna be
Greetings from
having a
Texas.
discussion about just the definition of racism and whether or not black people can be racist, because there's a lot of different perspectives on that term. And, I was led to believe one thing, and then as I, grew my mind and realized I was taught BS, I navigated away from what I originally understood the definition of racism to be.
Right.
On a time, I believed that as a black person, I didn't have the systemic power to be racist, no matter what I did. And I'm glad I realized that was BS, because I was actively just, thinking it was okay to perceive myself as a victim of white supremacy and all these other things. And, that was kind of, stifling my growth as a person. So, Mr. Dave, what do you perceive the definition of racism to be?
Any one group that holds prejudice or extreme biased, negative views against another group. The power dynamic for me doesn't do it. Like I've been across the entire country having these conversations on panels, taught diversity in universities at Division I research levels. So Yeah, but the power dynamic is usually what most people want to use, but I don't believe it because I can't tangibly always see it. I always see something different.
Yeah. All right, and then for Henry, is that your name? What's your name?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Henry,
Mr. Henry, can you explain to me, do you agree or disagree with what Mr. Dave said about the definition of racism?
I totally disagree.
Totally disagree. Okay, what's your input?
Racism is a systems dynamic. Racism is not an individual dynamic.
Oh,
Racism is when one race of people obtain resources, opportunities, and privileges and deny another group those access to those resources, privileges, and opportunities that they need to sustain because of the color of their race. That gentleman is talking at racism from an individual point of view. It's nothing individualized about racism. Racism is a systems dynamic,
okay.
systemically and institutionalized.
Right, and that was the definition that I was taught in a lot of the curriculum that I took in high school and in college. You know, I was told that you had to really be cognizant of the system. Mr. Dave, I don't know if you were able to hear what Mr. Henry had just said about the definition of racism. He did disagree. He said that. Can you repeat yourself for him?
No problem. Racism is a systems dynamic. Racism is not an individual dynamic. Racism is when one group of people obtain opportunities, resources, and privileges and deny another group of another race access to those privileges and opportunities and resources which they need to sustain life, primarily because of the color of their skin or their race is different. That's racism. Systemic and institutional racism.
Thank you for repeating that definition. So, first of all, to agree with what you're saying, I would have to agree that there's no individual racism or bias at the individual level. Because you're stating it doesn't happen at the individual level. So let's just start at the individual level. What are you saying that discriminatory, biased practices, policies, ideals, or beliefs are at the individual level? If you're saying racism is only at the systemic level, which I can't wait to respond to that either.
Because systemically, it's the only way racism has power. I can call you all the redneck, ugly, white motherfuckers in the world. It doesn't change anything in your life. But systemically, if I have control of resources, opportunities, and privileges, I can wreak havoc on your life. I can tell you where to live. I can tell you what school. I can tell you where to shop. If I need a car, I got to buy it from you. If I need a home, I have to buy it from you. If I need to take my child to school, I got to take it to your school. If I have to buy food, I have to go to your supermarket that you own and buy my food. Why? Because you're in control of a system.
Okay. So,
and the privileges in that system and the opportunity that I need to sustain life.
So using your own definition, right? You said whatever, all this other, derogatory type stuff or negative type stuff. It doesn't bother me, against a person of color. Now, using your logic, if I was to use those same words, negative connotations or whatever to a person of color, there's not one person out of 100 that say I wasn't being racist.
Right.
Because of the history of the European.
I don't own a grocery store. I'm not a citizen.
Remember.
I'm an individual.
No, but you're still directly and indirectly, you benefited from what your people, the white race, invented in Europe in 1421 in Portugal. White people invented racism.
I believe there are
you cannot
discriminatory
remove
practices
yourself.
going way
You
back.
cannot Excuse me, I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm talking. You cannot disconnect yourself from your lineage. Let's
I don't
get
want
that
to.
straight. You cannot rewrite your
Excuse
history,
me.
and you cannot change your
Excuse me. I
history.
have a follow up question since we're gonna get into whiteness. What do y'all define as whiteness? Because I've actually come to realize that it's kind of an indefinable thing. It seems like the definition kind of changes at convenience. So, Mr. Dave, can you give a definition of what you think it means if you think it's definable?
I mean, black, white are colors, not people or race.
Right. Right.
So if a particular behaviors or one race or the other, no matter what color of the spectrum you're talking about, those are automatic biased. If white people on time is being on time is a white thing, yeah, I can't define that as a white thing. So like I said, black and white are colors
Right.
that are, physical colors, and it's not an action, a group, or a person or a thing. Blackness and whiteness is not a group or a person or a set of things. And if you group those people together, no matter which group it is you're grouping together and have negative bias against, you're in the wrong.
Okay, and then Mr. Henry, I know that you disagree because you and I were having the conversation about. I hope this was you, Elon Musk, because in a previous live I was talking to a girl and she gave me her definition of white, and she said white is somebody from Europe, and so I naturally brought up, I'm like, Elon Musk is a white person, somebody who would be classified as white, right, because of his skin tone, who was born in Africa, whose parents are from Africa. Would he not be classified as African American? And so it's like, it was a really big conversation going on under my video where people just didn't know. But, people are telling me he's white, but unable to explain what white is. So can you define that for me, Mr. Henry?
First of all, Elon Musk is Dutch descendant. Now, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm.
If a West African silverback was born in Brooklyn, New York, does that make it a Brooklyn, New York gorilla? If a rhinoceros was born in Newark, New Jersey, does that make it a Newark, New Jersey rhinoceros? No. Elon Musk is a European. He is a European. I am the African.
You're
How did
African?
he
Have you ever been to
became
Africa?
European?
You were born in Africa?
No. I declare myself
So
African. I am the American African. I
Elon Musk
am an
declares himself
African
African
born
also.
in America.
And he has
I'm the
his birth
American
certificate says
African.
Africa.
which
I'm an American that I call myself the American African because I am an American. I am an African born on the continent of America.
Is your family from a specific continent or a country in Africa?
We are the Ashanti tribe of West Africa. We came to America via the transatlantic slave trade.
who put
That's how we got here.
who took your ancestors on that journey?
Uh, the United States and Great
Well, the
Britain.
United States didn't exist in the 1400s, 1500s, or 1600s.
No. Well, they're the United States today, but this country and Great Britain, Portuguese, France, and the Netherlands. They were Europeans, your race of people.
No, I just want to address what you're stating, and then I just want to move on from this part because we can just disagree. But using your logic, by our Constitution, anyone born in the United States, which is what we have. I'm in Texas. We have this, large immigration problem. Anybody born on U.S. soil is a U.S. citizen. Based on your logic, that's not true. So our Constitution is not upstanding and is a false document, and people born in America are not American because every single person who's born in America is an American. It doesn't matter their ethnicity or whatever. We all only have one set of DNA anyways.
Your
Our
Constitution is a
Constitution, sir.
fucking joke.
Ours.
No, your
So you don't live in
Constitution.
America?
Yours.
Right, Mr. Henry.
No, I live in this country, but I don't have to honor your Constitution.
Respectfully, if
I don't have to
don't
honor
live
your
in
Constitution.
America,
Your
you live like
Constitution never honored me. Your Constitution never honored me.
So what is for?
When slavery
For
ended
all.
when slavery ended during the 13th Amendment, slavery ended. The 14th Amendment, we were supposed to be protected under the law. But for 100 years, Europeans in America was slaughtering American Africans in this country, killing them. You never honored your Constitution unless it was for Europeans like you. Your Constitution never honored the African in this
Okay.
country.
Well,
Ever.
I
Okay,
disagree, but I appreciate it.
look, we're gonna go ahead and move on from this
How?
point.
How did it? 13th Amendment, right? We were removed from slavery. Abraham Lincoln. He removed us from
Excuse
slavery.
me,
He's the
Mr.
13th
Henry,
Amendment,
Mr. Henry.
right? And here
Before,
it is.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move forward. I do have another question. This is kind of on a different topic, but one of the main themes of my
Okay.
page is trying to teach Black women specifically to love their natural hair the way they were created by God. And
Uh-huh.
one of my more popular videos that I made recently was me disputing a popular Black creator who said that white girls can't wear braids because it's not their culture, it's not made for them, blah blah blah. And my rebuttal to that was, that's racism. Y'all are saying that because somebody's white, which still seems indefinable to me, they can't braid their own hair, even if they happen to be the white person that has an afro. Y'all are saying it's not their culture, they can't wear it. So I just wanted to know if y'all are men, but if y'all are familiar with that perspective, and if that's something that you agree with, or if you feel like that's racism. And I'm going to start with Mr. Dave.
I don't think that unless you're talking about, I don't know, I can't really talk about hair and racism. Other people want to entertain that, but to me, it's biased towards looks or one's own personal choice, which is, the Constitution says for all,
Yeah,
and you don't if you don't take
Your
it as for
Constitution.
all, then that is your own personal choice to not understand it that way. And so we have a freedom to wear our hair how and when we want to. And so I just, to me it's not. I don't know how there's no proof of who braided the first hair on earth.
exactly.
Find it for me, cite it for me. Let's have a conversation. Until
Came
that
out of
point,
Africa. It came out of
So okay,
yes, sir.
Africa. It came
How
out
many
of Africa.
people in
And,
Africa have you seen with their hair braided, sir? Because when I went across the
you know,
continent on foot,
a
I didn't see
bunch
very
of
many
them.
braided
A
hair.
bunch
Most
of
of them
them.
were shaved.
Well, dig
No,
deep.
I
Dig
did.
deep. Dig deep. It's
but Mr.
there. It
Dave,
started there.
can I ask your perspective? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but so do you think that a white girl or a white person wearing braids is cultural appropriation? Because that's the overall question.
When when that word became cliche 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, whatever, it was generally said that one is benefiting off another's culture. I don't want to raise my voice too loud, but one is benefiting off another culture. So by that very definition that cultural appropriation made its rounds about, I don't know, when my hair is long, you see my afro, if we could share it, we could. But I don't benefit from it. The only thing I benefit is save myself 20 minutes of time and lots of money on hair products to keep it tame. So like, how is one benefit? How is Miley Cyrus or whomever, how they're not benefiting financially by representing braids? If anything, they catch more flack and lose some of the Black popularity they have for their music. So I don't see that there's a benefit of power of doing that or not doing that.
Exactly.
That's where I
Yeah,
stop.
that's just what people say. In my opinion, it's just like the benefit is having the confidence to wear braids. Because another thing that I've analyzed within the Black community from women is that they tend to look down on more African hairstyles. They do. As someone who grew up with locks, my hair was shorter. I was being made fun of by my peers who were Black, telling me that I should straighten my hair. But I'm like, I thought we were pro-Black. I thought we liked our Africanness. I thought we were African. Why are we now slandering a literal African hairstyle? And you say you went to Africa. I've never been to Africa, but you said you've been there and you didn't even see a lot of braids. That's interesting to me.
Some, yes, but I would say, as far as men, the majority. We're talking about tribal. I'm not a tourist. I don't go stay in resorts and
Just
whatnot.
said he didn't see any. Now he's saying he saw some. Which is it?
It's not the majority, Henry. That's a fact. And
God,
my
man.
African friends love when I let my hair grow out, bro. They love it. Africans born in
Yeah,
Africa,
because,
not Americans.
yeah, I bet they do. I bet they do.
Come to the West African party. We'll welcome you.
So, Mr. Henry, so as far as I didn't think you answered about the cultural appropriation, but do you feel like that's a thing?
Well, I don't know. culture for, like you're saying, white people wearing braids and things like this and wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's a culture misappropriation of a culture because when I lived in Florida and I seen all these white guys with throwback jerseys and fitted hats saying "What up, my nigga" and all of that, and the white girls with the braids and and I mean, look like they're. I mean, to me, it's an insult to me. As far as black women wearing their real hair, I remember I went to take a girl out on a date. She's light skinned, but she came out with a blonde hairdo. And I said, "Why are you wearing a blonde hairdo? You're not European." And I said, "Nah, I don't date women who misappropriate our culture. Bottom line, she had a blonde weave."
So
And I said, "Well, take it easy."
do you date a girl that has weave in
You
her hair, or has relaxer, or has a
No,
straightened hair, or
no,
wears a wig?
I prefer a woman who wears a color hair that appropriates to that of the African. I don't date a woman in a blonde wig. And I see a lot of that going on around here. Black women in blonde wigs and blonde braids. I don't be bothered with. But all of that comes directly out of post-traumatic slave disorder. Black people who want to look like white people.
I had
Black
to study
people who
that in
change their
college.
eye colors. Black people who want to be white people. Because we live in a culture and systemically, mentally, and socially, we feel that to be white is better. Because white people have taught them in this country that they are superior and the African is inferior, which is a myth because white superiority
What?
has always been a myth. But
So
racism is
Wait,
real.
were you personally taught, like from a white person, that you were inferior to them, personally, or
what
in what way?
education
Do
system
In
me?
did
what
you
way were
learn
you
that
taught
in?
that?
Yeah.
Because of the white, well, do you asking me, do I feel I'm
I'm
inferior to
asking
white
you, were you
people?
taught that directly?
Was I taught that
Yes.
directly? Absolutely. Growing up, everything was whitewashed. Everything on television, everything in the school system, everything was completely whitewashed. And I'm older than you and you.
Okay.
Agreed.
And I mean, I grew up in the 70s and the 60s and I seen it. It was completely
So in
whitewashed.
a
You
formal
know?
education
George
setting,
Washington was this great guy, but come to find out, he was a slave
in a,
driver. He was a butcher. Thomas Jefferson was this great president. He was a
Mr.
rapist.
Henry,
Kidnapped a black woman and raped
the
her for
question
years.
was what?
I was taught all this good stuff about what white people brought to this society. So therefore, they never said anything about what black people brought to the society. They mentioned Martin Luther King, but they shot him. You very seldom hear anything from Frederick. Well, Frederick Douglass you hear about, but Harriet Tubman freeing the slave. But mostly everything
I
was whitewashed.
think it's balanced
And
now.
when you,
I agree.
and then what put the icing on the cake was that white Jesus Christ my mother had on the wall, who has been alive from day one.
Who?
He was a
Said
gay
white.
man from France.
What race is Jesus?
He was a gay man from France. His name was Cedro Brogier. He's not even Jesus Christ. He was used in 1482 by the Roman Catholic Church to pose for the painting of Christ. He was painted by Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. It's not even Jesus. But that's the whitewashing. That is the psychological damage that the Europeans put on the Africans to make them feel superior, because the African will feel inferior, because if your God and your deity looks like your oppressor, you will think that your oppressor is superior, which is a myth, because white people ain't never been superior to black people. And you are inferior to the European.
So on that religious topic
And
there,
the European, that's God.
I disagree. I don't disagree that
I'm
someone.
sure you
So
do.
listen.
I'm sure you do. A white Republican from Texas, I bet you do.
So
But go ahead.
so what I'm saying, no, I said I don't disagree that someone was painted in some likeness. Okay, but that doesn't dispute the fact of I don't think anybody was painting portraits in the year or 2,130 years ago, sir. And number two, besides the Christian religion, okay, okay, or most Buddhism, Hinduism, ancient Egyptians, all those other gods are people of olive or darker skin. So you can't say that they're all just whitewashed. Those are gods that were painted and represented, that are of color. You're talking about one religion now.
No, all religions came from Africa. Judaism came from Africa. White people hijacked it. Islam came from Africa. White people hijacked it. Christianity came out of Africa. White people hijacked it and used it
for
Muslim that are
white. Do you know? How many white Muslims are there in the world? I've met one.
Arab is nothing. Then you have never been to Bosnia. You have white Muslims all over Europe.
Okay.
You have white Muslims all over Europe.
So the country of Bosnia hijacked it, so that...
No, I didn't say that one group. But you have white Muslims everywhere. And Arabs are nothing but white people. That's all they are. And here it is. All religions came from African spirituality. Africa is the birthplace of religion. No spirituality ever came out of Europe. Not a one. No religion ever came out of Europe.
Wow. But look, I'm going to put a pin in that. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question, which I have pinned in the chat, which is kind of piggybacking off the initial question I asked, which is the definition of racism. So I'm going to ask, can Black people be racist? Systemically.
Who do you want to go first? Who do you want to go first?
Mr. Hammer, you can go first. Go ahead.
Absolutely not. That is a Republican, conservative, whitewash lie.
So
you have to be in control. What are Black people in control of in this country that any other group people need to survive? We don't control or own anything. We're the second largest ethnic group of people in this country. And yet, we don't own any major essential institution.
You just said you're the second largest
They might have four
group in America? No. Hispanic
they
Black
don't have
America has
any
passed. I'm sorry.
essential, there are no Black essential institutions in this country that are financially power-based structure. We're not even in control of our own economy. We're $2 trillion people a year. $2 trillion Black people bring to this country. And who do we spend our money with? Europeans, Arabs, Asians.
Can I ask you one question?
We don't have an economy. We're not in control of our economy. Black people can be bigoted. Black people can be prejudiced. But Black people cannot be racist. They don't own anything. Can white people be racist? Absolutely. And they have for over 550 years.
Reverend Henry.
You don't believe me? Look it up.
Racism goes back further than 550 years. But nevertheless, so
your history though.
Based on what you just said,
your history though.
Are you telling me that there is that if you wanted to be a millionaire, if you're not, you're telling me you can't be a millionaire because you're Black?
Because I don't agree with that.
What kind of question is that?
It's a simple question.
I can't be. I mean, no. I'm not talking about me. No, it's not me. I'm talking about my people, the African in America. We're not talking about an individual concept. And I noticed that about Republican conservatives. Why do you always run to individualism?
Because we're not in a cult.
When the system that your racist ancestors but the system that is racist ancestors
I'm about to blow your mind, sir.
Is a system that system that affected an entire race.
I just ran for U.S. House of Representatives on the Democrat ticket in 2020 in Texas. Now what? Where?
Democrat or Republican? I didn't vote for either one.
But you try to that was your own bias. I just caught you in your own bias, your own assumptions of who I was.
Both of you are racist. And if you're a Democrat, I know you're feeling bad about right now. Don't look good for the Democratic Party, boy.
I know I should have been elected. You're right.
Jesus Christ.
But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your conversation, your openness.
Yes, sir. And look, that was very enlightening. I really appreciate. Obviously, Mr. Dave, did you answer the question? Can black people be racist?
The answer, like I said, it comes from the very initial conversation. Any group can hold prejudice against another group.
Yeah.
She didn't ask you that. She asked you, can black people be
Oh, yes.
racist?
I have
Do
no
not
problem.
evade the
Racist.
question.
Oh, let
Yes.
me go ahead and read off. I have a '05 Webster dictionary. See it's tattered, so you know it's real. I'm gonna read off the definition of
Good.
racism that hasn't been politically hijacked. It's a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. A second definition: racial prejudice or discrimination. So when I hear a lot of black
Going
people
down,
say,
going down. Keep going.
that's it.
Keep going. Keep
That's
going.
it.
What kind of dictionary? What kind of dictionary you
I
got,
just showed it.
sweetheart?
Webster, Merriam-Webster, 2005. What's
Okay.
wrong with the definition?
Okay. Okay.
What's wrong with the definition?
Go ahead.
The definition proves that prejudice and racist are synonymous. So when people try to separate and say, "Oh, black people can't be racist; they can be prejudiced," though, that doesn't mean anything.
No, but if you're not in control of anything, it doesn't mean
What do you
So
anything.
mean
I
in
asked you that.
control?
You know,
What are you
I'm in
not in
control
control
of this.
of in your
you're
life?
not in
No,
control of
What in
that
your
anything.
about
life?
right now.
No,
I'm in
no,
control.
don't do it. I'm in control of my life. I'm talking about a group of people.
A cult.
Racism does not attack a person individually. There you go with that individualism again. Racism is a systems dynamic. I don't know what is up with you people who think that racism is based on one person. It never has been. It never has been. It's a system.
So, are you a Christian?
No,
Do
I
you
am not.
believe in Christ?
I believe in African
Do you believe in
spirituality.
Christ?
Christianity came
You
out of
believe in
it.
Christ?
No, I
Well,
do not. I
that's
believe
fine.
in Yoruba.
Okay.
He said Jesus was a white man from France named what?
Yoruba.
Did
Wait,
you
what
write that
was
down?
Jesus? He said
Yeah,
Sergio.
Shedro. His name is Shedro Brogier. He was a gay man in Paris, France.
Okay.
Look it up. Look it up. It's
By
there.
the image, but I asked him what is Jesus's race? Because I feel I received a TikTok comment. I received a TikTok comment that it was interesting to me. Somebody was like, "You're gonna be mad when you find out God is black and hates white people." And I made a video combating that because I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, God is love. Why would He hate anyone? And second of all, why would He hate
Well, you
white
gotta
people?
ask yourself, can you look at the history of white people? Look at their
What's the
history.
definition of white people again? Anybody who's has
Okay, first of all,
education, right?
white people. First of all, white people, that term, white people, it's only been around for a couple of hundred years. I think they started in the 1600s. Okay? How did white people come about? They came from Africa. They were the Grimaldi tribe.
Right.
They left Africa and went into the mountains of
Okay.
Europe. And they stayed in the mountains of Europe. And the mountains of Europe are cold. It's a cold region. They called them the ice people. Those that were able to lose their melanin survived the cold. They became more European-ness looking. White skin, thin nose, the long hair that covered the gland in the back, the pineal gland, the pineal gland. Those who lost their melanin survived. Those that didn't and couldn't, they
That's a fact.
died. By the fifth century, Islam had rose up. And Islam was powerful as a motherfucker. I mean, they were powerful. And they swooped down and they attacked Northern Africa, Asia, and Europe,
Well,
and India.
they got their
And they
ass handed
conquered
to them by the Persians,
I
by
was
the Turks,
talking, I
Ottomans.
was talking, I was
Mr.
talking.
Henry, why are we so hot
That's
Yeah,
the
today?
bro. I'm
that's
not
the
here for your
Persian
sermon.
Empire
I'm not here for your
and the
sermon.
Barbary Empire. It was the Persian and Barbary Empire and the Ottoman
And
Empire.
they beat
They
their
are
ass.
Arabs, Muslims, and they came down and they threw Europe into an economic depression for 500 years. Europe was stricken with crime, disease. They were illiterate. They couldn't even read or write. The only people that could read and write were religious dignitaries. And then they formed the armies and became powerful, and Europe reduced the African to servitude in 1421. Pope Eugenius, Queen Isabella reduced the African to servitude when they ordered Henry the
Excuse me, Mr.
Navigator
Henry.
to conquer and take control of West
Mr. Henry,
Africa.
I really appreciate this. This is very enlightening. But I wanted to move on to a next question. Do you believe in white supremacy?
That's how white people. Excuse me. Go ahead. Go ahead. This is your show. Do I believe white
Do you believe
supremacy?
that's a thing?
White supremacy. White supremacy it exists because white superiority can only exist as long as white people are able to bury African heritage. See, you don't get white supremacy unless you take away the history of Africa. Either you take the history of black people out of schools, you take the history of black people and distort it. You distort our experience with the European. White supremacy does exist. If it didn't exist, you would not have had white supremacist groups. You would not have had the Ku Klux Klan. Don't they exist? You would not have had the neo-Nazis. Don't they exist? You would not have the Aryan Brotherhood. Don't these groups exist? Right? Right? So therefore, white supremacy must exist. Why? Because it's to maintain the existence of the white race. They feel they're dying. And they are. Then in another 300 years, you won't even see white people. You might see a bunch of light-skinned people walking around. That's why they do not want you mating with black people. I was in prison, and I was talking to an Aryan Brotherhood. And he said, man, we're trying to stay alive, Henry. If we continue to mate with Hispanics and Asians and Africans, there will be no white race. He said, we're trying to stay alive. That's what we're trying to do. He said, that's not so much a supremacy. He said, but we're trying to survive as a people. One of the nicest guys I ever met because he was honest about his supremacy and his superiority.
At the end of the day, I think people are free to love, and people are going to love and be with who they want to. And there's no giant conspiracy or thought process behind it.
But you're living in a fantasy world, my man. White people and black people are natural enemies. And we've been so for hundreds of years.
I don't agree with that.
Come on.
I'm not your enemy here.
No. Look, I cannot say individualism. I'm saying just
But I'm
race
black,
of people.
right?
You go at any. You're black. But here it is.
I'm black and I'm saying
But exactly, natural enemies. They have been for hundreds of years. Yes, it is. You cannot post. You cannot. But listen, now I didn't speak for you. You spoke for yourself. I didn't speak for you. But here it is. I'm talking about the entire race of people. You don't count for our entire race. You account for black. You count for a black individual. Okay, you are. But if you're not the enemy to white people, if you're not the enemy, you can only speak for yourself.
Bro, you're not a
white people and black people.
She's not a threat to me. Like,
I never said we were. I never said
enemy.
we were.
An enemy is a threat, sir.
So you perceive him as being superior?
No,
I've been in combat.
Excuse me, miss. Enemy is a threat. Who has been the biggest enemy against black people? Have black people been a great enemy against white people, or have white people been a greater enemy towards black people? Which? Look at you. First of all, my man, stop removing yourself from your
What percentage of people is killing what percentage of people? Most white people kill most white people. Most black people kill most black people. That's actually the data, sir. That's the statistic.
That's a
Yes, sir.
That's a proven
That's not a stupid.
statistic.
That's a fact.
That's a proven.
You can't pick and choose your
That's a fact.
statistics to make it work for you.
The U.S. Department of Justice,
Lord.
people kill each other in their own dynamic. If people kill each other in their own race, most of the murders by black people are committed by black people. Most of the white people that are killed by white people. That's been proven. That's been proven. Most Hispanics kill, Asians kill. But here it is. The relationship between black people and white people today worse than it was in the 1960s.
I wasn't there,
They
so I
just
can't
had a
speak on it.
cross burn. They just, of course, because you haven't studied the history of it. Why? Because you're ducking the history and
Yeah,
the reality
you're right.
of your
So when I
people.
sat down with Dr.
That's what
Bernice
it is.
King, was I ducking history? When I sat down with David Banner,
You
was I
know?
ducking history? When I sat down with Sean King, was I ducking history? When I became a certified history teacher, was I ducking history? When I sat on panels at major
Did
universities,
you
was I ducking history?
did you learn anything?
Of course, I'm always learning.
Okay then. Okay then.
So,
So then you would know the
so
history
you
of
can't
the
call me a duck
European
if I'm learning, sir. I
against
don't
black
quack.
people. Okay? Now we talking 244
I'm talking about
years of
2015,
slavery.
2020, 2023, sir.
We're talking 244 years of chattel
I'm sorry.
slavery. We're talking 100 years of Jim Crow. We're talking 150 years of domestic violence and domestic terrorism from white people. We're talking another 60 years of oppression, redlining, disenfranchising,
Can,
marginalization. All of this was done
sir, can you
from
go buy
white
a house
people
wherever
to
you
black
can you go
people.
buy a house wherever you want to within your own income
But
bracket?
I have,
Thank
yes, but I own a home.
Oh, you have
But
one.
look, I had to go to white people. I didn't buy from black people. I had to go to white people to buy it. When I buy my groceries, I don't go to black people.
Why
I
didn't you
go
buy
to white people to
a
buy
house
it.
from another black person? That's a
Right?
choice.
You know? You know? I mean, come on. How many black real estate agent
I
companies you
don't
know that are owned?
have that data.
How many?
But you
Yeah, I
so
didn't
you
Okay, but
didn't
think
how
have a
many
so.
black
black people
realtor?
are interested in pursuing real estate?
My man, we're not in control of our economy because white America will not allow black people to have an economic
And
base. We had our
give
own
me
towns. We had our own communities. We
okay.
had our own stores. We had our own businesses. White
I'm done.
people
If I,
burned them down.
all right,
All
look,
right, man.
I
Thank
have
you for
one more
sharing that
They
question.
perspective.
burned them down.
Wait, well, give me one more question, quick.
If you're a history teacher, you've heard of Rosewood, Tulsa race riot. If you're a
Okay,
history
my
teacher,
last
you heard of the
question.
Okosi
Sir,
race riot. You heard of the Irene
you
Mr.
just
massacre.
Henry,
You've
told me
heard of the. You're from
Mr.
Texas.
Henry,
You've
no,
heard of
actually
the
I'm not.
Soka massacre.
I'm
hello?
not from Texas.
Yes, I have one final question. It's going to be,
Said you were from there.
can
Go
you,
ahead, ma'am. Go
can
ahead.
you
Go
break
ahead.
down
This guy's
step by step
confused.
how slavery is connected to a lot of the issues that persist within our communities today?
Chicago.
Right. I'm in Chicago. Y'all heard the sirens, right? Something didn't happen. Slavery did that, right? So I just want to know, like,
Yeah,
step by
Chicago. See how he
Mr.
just
Henry, go
now
ahead. Like,
you
explain how slavery is
you
connected to
see
the
how he
issues that we currently face. You said we suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Like, explain how those are.
yes. Yes. Let's first of all, you see how you just disrespected the brothers and sisters in Chicago. And I lived in
I
Chicago.
live in
Everybody in
Chicago.
Chicago is not a criminal. Thank you. And you're not a
No,
criminal.
I'm not.
So
I
I
didn't
mean
say
you
a
heard what he just
word.
said. Chicago.
But there's a lot of crime
I live in Brooklyn, New York.
on this side of the city for sure.
Okay. To
Yeah.
answer your question, miss, how is that connected? How is slavery? You say how is
Right.
slavery?
I'm listening.
How is slavery
Connect.
connected to the black on black crime and the high levels of just fatherlessness and immoral behavior that exists in our culture, in the black culture?
Because after slavery, right, was over, this country refused to give black people an economic base. After slavery was over and we were running around here bumming and stinking, right, about 1776, white people begged for Jim Crow laws, the segregation. So the government gave them to them. Because I don't know what it is about white women, but for some reason, white people back then swear to God every black man in America was raping white women. So therefore, we were segregated. We built our own towns and our own communities. White Christian nationalists, yes, they were Christians, burned the towns down and hung every black man and woman in town and child. Okay? This is recorded history. Here it is. Recorded history. It's over 60. Estimated 60. It could be more, they believe. Because they really didn't keep a good count of what they did to black people back then. And they burned our towns down. And when black people went to the government to ask for money, in order to build their towns back, the government said the only way you can, if you allow white people to implement their businesses within your community. That's why you'll see that black people buy from white people before they buy from their own kind. You look at the crime today. First of all, I hear that term a lot with white Christian nationalists and Republicans, conservatives. Black on black crime. I mean, white people don't commit crimes. Asians don't commit crimes. So there's no such thing as black on black crime. Crime is just crime. Black people have been in the underworld for over 80 years in this country. And mind you, there's a book about it and a movie about it. There's a book about it called The New Jim Crow. And there was a movie called The Gangs of New York. When I was growing up in New York in the 60s and the 70s, all you saw was Irish and Italians and Jews murdering each other in the street. The Lucchese crime family, the Genovese, the Bonanno. You got crime, Irish and Jewish and Italian figures that they make movies about. Lucky Luciano, Dutch Schultz, the Dutchman. Benny Siegel, the man that started Las Vegas. He was a racketeer and a pimp. Jews, Italians, and Irish were criminals in this country when they got here because they didn't have an economic base. But Democrats and Republicans didn't do to them what they did to Africans. They didn't do to them what they did to Africans. What they did to the American African, they started a mass incarceration. But with them, it was World War II. And after World War II, this government felt the heat coming from the civil rights movement. They knew that they had to remove it from under Jim Crow. Reverend Abernathy and Dr. Martin Luther King, they were in full swing. So they said, listen, what we have to do, we've got to have 40 million black people
to what you
free
said,
in
sir,
the country.
because you've got a whole
So
sermon.
here it is.
Let me respond, sir. You got a whole sermon. I'm sorry. Let me respond there because again, on your logic, I'm using your words and not mine, right? You said, all Irish, Italian, I'm not sure who the third was, Jewish or whomever were criminals when they came to this country. I believe you said all. I believe is the words you said. So, and yes, mobsters and whatnot did exist. So based on your logic, should I judge or should people judge all black people based on the Bloods, Crips, the folk, so on and so forth, down the gang thing? And I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas from the 90s, so I survived that. But based on exactly what you said, the Irish, the mafia doesn't represent all of Irish or all of Italian, right? So definitely the Bloods and Crips and whomever else you want to go, I can go up and down the list with you too on that historically, but they don't represent all black people. And so like to judge the actions of gang members and mafia and then make presumptions on a whole group of people it's actually insanity, and it's definitely racist.
Yeah.
That's your
but black people.
logic.
Excuse me, Shorty with the locks. Excuse me before I was so rudely interrupted by a stupid ass question.
He was not rude. It was a proper intervention because
I was so rudely interrupted, but like I was saying,
I wanted to know it was just like a step by step. In what ways is slavery?
Irish,
over 200 years
excuse
ago,
me, Irish, Italians, and Jews were criminals in this country, but this country got them out.
You said they came here as criminals.
They gave them all stimulus.
Let me correct what you said.
They gave them stimulus.
Came here
all right?
as criminals.
They gave the Irish control of the police department. They gave Italians control of the fire department in many cities in this country, and they gave Jewish people, Jews, Eastern European Jews, they gave them control of the judicial center court system, which they rule to this very day with an iron hand. Okay? This government got them out of a life of crime and gave them a life of success. What did this government give black people to get out of crime when they deindustrialized our neighborhoods in the late 1970s? When all the companies and businesses just upped and moved. When the Republican Party took all the training programs out of high schools and they deindustrialized the black community. So what do we have to resort to? Crime. Shorty with the locks. Don't believe this guy. Don't believe. Shorty, don't believe this guy. People, Shorty, criminals aren't born. Criminals are made. When people, it says Shorty with the, that's what it says. I'm on the call it with you.
My bad.
Miss, Shorty, I'll just say Shorty. Shorty, criminals aren't born. Criminals are made. When people are subjugated and disenfranchised, people will steal. When people are not given proper resources and denied privileges and access to good income, people will resort to crime and drugs and the underworld. People will do that. So here it is. White criminals in this country at the early part of last century were given a pass and given stimulus. Black people were never given that. What were we given? Barack Obama. That's what we were given. Yeah, that's what we got. But they got stimuluses. Irish got stimuluses. Italians got a stimulus. Jewish people got a stimulus. Native Americans got reparated. Eastern European Jews got reparated. Japanese got reparated. They were given an economic base in this country. What was black people
Everybody
given?
got a
Nothing.
stimulus in 2020, 2021, like last time I checked. And so the other stimulus you're talking about 70, 80 years ago. But so 3 years ago, America gave out stimulus checks to everybody.
Do you think that we need reparations? Black people, African Americans need reparations, Mr. Henry? Reparations?
I believe so. I believe so because we were denied an economic base. In 1946, the United States Indian Commission reparated the last 25 remaining Native American tribes. And not to mention, they did own plantations, and they were part of the institution of American chattel slavery. Native Americans sold slaves. They had plantations. They gave them millions. They gave Eastern European Jews reparation for a Holocaust that didn't even happen on U.S. soil. But the United States and Germany reparated them. And yes, Jewish people owned plantations. They were the biggest slave owners, the biggest slave sellers, and the secretary for the Confederacy was a Jewish man. Japanese was on internment camps in California for 4 years. 4! And they gave them millions of dollars. The Republican Party in 1980.
Why did they give them millions of dollars?
88.
They took their property. Let's go back to the facts on that. They took property from them, so they paid them. It wasn't they paid them for their property that they took from them while they were in internment camps.
Exactly. So and white America took our freedom. We built the country for free. They domestically terrorized us, killed us, hung us, cut us up. There's a book out called The Delectable Negro. You need to read it. You had white people that even barbecued and ate black people. Yes. And that book was banned in 1982. I was 20 years old. They just released it again. I'm 62 years old. White America hiding their brutal history against the African. The worst crime committed by man, upon man, in the history of mankind. The institution of American chattel slavery. And what makes our situation and our predicament different than any of those groups that were reparated? Number one, it was a process of dehumanization. In world history, no slaves were ever dehumanized. Go ahead.
Okay. How you doing? Oh, it's two people. Okay, how y'all doing? Oh man, we got oh wait, don't miss the Dave over there. Okay. Okay, how you doing? Who did I just add?
No humans were dehumanized. No slaves in the world were dehumanized like we were.
3 y'all. Okay, can I get your input on Mr. Ben Official? You say you had something that you wanted to say.
There's but one race on the planet, the human race.
That's not true.
Human race. Man, look, I support that.
That's not true. That's historically false. That's historically a lie.
You claim him to be for interrupting you. You now are acting the same way.
Well, then why did they make laws? Why did they make laws? White people made laws to differentiate the races.
Excuse me, Ben the Official. It's your audio is pretty muffled. I don't know if you could cover the mic.
No, all I got is my AirPods right now. I dropped my phone, so I can't. Sorry, you can't hear me. Yeah, can I at least get a few words out, brother, before you even stop interrupting? I will gladly leave you in your ignorance if I want, and you guys will have to find out for yourself what I already know and approve. So let me just start off with you, brother. What's your nationality?
Which brothers?
What's your nationality?
You talking to him or me?
You.
I am the African. I am the
That's not a
African.
nationality, so you don't even understand the term.
My man, no, I am the African. I don't identify with a nationality. Your Constitution never identified me. Your Constitution never identified me. Okay? Your Constitution never. I don't have to identify as an American. I don't. Right? Is it about freedom? Does it say freedom? Does it say freedom? I can kneel if I want to.
Land, history, and culture, right? Every person on this planet, let's play a game. Japanese are from where?
Japan.
Chinese people are from where?
China.
German people are from where?
Germany.
Somalians come from where?
Somalia.
Yemenis people come from where?
You get, oh no. Where?
Yemen.
Yes, Tanzanian people come from where? Tanzanian people come from Tanzania. Colombians come from Colombia.
Right.
Jamaicans come from Jamaica. Where do white people come from? Where do black people come from? Where do Asian people come from? Where do African people come from? Those are continents. Humans don't.
Come on, man. What's this clown doing? What's this clown doing? What kind of clown shit you got going on? What's your point? You're not teaching me anything. You're not teaching me anything. No, you're not.
You're not open to learning.
I've been doing this as long as you've been alive. No, you don't know. I am the African. No, I'm not going to be what you want me to be. You're out of your mind. I don't have to honor your Constitution. Watch this. Watch this.
He showed up the library.
Mr. Henry, what's your blood type? What's your blood type?
Look.
What's your blood type?
Look, I'm in my truck.
What's your blood type?
I got this. Hey, locks. I got locks. All the books he got, I got them on Audible, and I got them at my house.
Blood type?
All right, I got a library at home. I'm not at home. I'm at work, Locks. I'm in a truck. I'm not at home. I got a library home too.
All right.
This is one of these self-hating. This is a self-hating Negro. That's what this is. I don't have time for them, man. I don't even know why you let this clown on.
No name. Look, this name calling was
This is one of these Muslims or Israelites. One of these idiots.
Mr. Henry, what blood type are you? What blood type are you?
Your blood type is.
But to me, do you know who you are? How are you going to tell me who I am? You're going to tell me who I am. And I know what you're not. In your right mind. I know what you're not.
Black, which black actually means bleach or pale.
That's amalgamation for a person that's melanated. That's all that means. See? Hey, get this clown off of here, man. Get this clown off of here. Get this fucking clown off of here. That's one of those Hebrew Israelite idiots. That's one of them idiots. Come on. All the word black means black. Shorty, all the black means only one thing, and that means the color of amalgamation of a skin. That's all it means. Get out of here, man, with that stupid shit.
Thank you for joining.
One of these clowns.
Thank you so much for joining.
One of these Hebrew Israelites. One of these clowns.
Y'all have a good night, okay?
Come on, man. Get out of here.